Speaking of security, here on the channel on Friday night, we had a 1-hour special, 13 hours at Benghazi. I'm sure you saw a part of it. And it's interesting, 3 of these guys who were special operators, they came on camera and they said that when things were going down the drain, they were talking to the CIA station chief, a guy named Bob, and he told them to stand down, just hold on. Don't do anything at this point. You know, I understand your committee has looked into it, and there was no stand-down order, and yet they were told, don't move. So which is it?
Well, it's probably the combination of both. So as an old former FBI guy, we interviewed everybody in that chain of command, including the individual that they're calling Bob, on the compound, including the station chief who was in Tripoli at the time. So what I think they're referring to is these guys grouped up, and they had an unofficial relationship with the mission force, meaning that there was no, there was not their responsibility to go and rescue them. Right? Their job was to protect the annex because it was a sizable annex, a lot of people there. Their job was to provide security there. But they had this unofficial relationship. Why? Because when they went to talk to the State Department agents, they realized then that they were not in a position to protect themselves. So these guys are heroes from the word go. I hope their book sells 1 million copies. The problem is what happened was the commander on the ground, this guy they're calling Bob, well, when these folks came up, they got in the vehicle and said, hey, we made a promise, we're going. He said, wait a minute, I need to figure out, A, what's going on, and B, if I can get you any better weapons and maybe even some help to go. We don't know if there's 5 people attacking the place or 500. And so that dispute ended up, or not, it wasn't even a dispute. It was the commander on the ground making a decision. I think it took 23 minutes before they all, including that commander, by the way, got in the car and went over and rescued those individuals. Well,
this is the first we're actually hearing them talk about what happened. I understand they have gone to Washington. They've talked to the Intel Committee. But what's interesting is Victoria Tenzing, who represents Gregory Hicks, the State Department whistleblower regarding Benghazi, she says that these guys who we met Friday night for the first time, they've been harassed by your committee. Listen to this.
They were told, they were accused that they were not telling the truth. They were threatened with the committee's not going to pay your travel expenses, which committees always do for witnesses who come in from out of town, because you're writing a book and you're going to make money. That chief of staff, the head of that staff that harassed these 3 brave men, a few months later went to work for Beacon Global Strategies. That is a Hillary organization.
So what she's saying is they were threatened with perjury for telling their story. Is that true?
No, they were not threatened with perjury. What we did is, it's interesting, the lawyers asked that none of their testimony be released until after their book was out and being sold. And so this is just so horribly unfortunate. I think you have lawyers who have a financial interest in this, certainly making allegations that are far from true. We had professional investigators. I'm a former FBI agent. Our goal was to get the facts and put them on the record so that we could have a record. And the sad part about this is the State Department made some horrific decisions that I believe contributed to the death of those 4 individuals. That is all going to get lost in these folks. You know, as I said, I hope everybody buys their book, because these are very brave souls who served their country proudly, who ended up driving into unknown circumstances and saved them. That's all really good. And so the only way that people buy the book is with some inflammatory comments. I'm just, you know, these are attorneys who have a financial stake in this, and it's unfortunate. The facts will. We've asked that these transcripts be released, and I think that'll tell the truth. I think Americans can look at that and find out what was the real truth.
Right, and we're looking for the Select Committee to get at all the truth and answers that people haven't had.